This is the road test video for a Honda Civic 1.8iX. Car's registered RE58HGM. Mileage at the start of this brief road test is 41,964 miles. The purpose of the road test really is for those who are travelling to us from a fair distance, and we're now selling to people from all over the near continent and the extremes of the UK. It's just to give a bit of reassurance that the car you're coming to see drives well, or as it should, or if there's any issues with the car, I can let you know about them prior to coming to see the car itself. What I try and do in these tests is just to basically go through much the same as you'll do yourself when you come to see the car and test drive. That's to concentrate on the mechanicals and the major controls of the vehicle, and to go through them one by one, and hopefully if there's anything at all, then I can let you know about it prior to you coming. This particular example, I'm not expecting too much wrong with it. It's a very low mileage 1.8 VTEC, which has been very well looked after, and I drove it briefly earlier and it does drive very nicely. But what I do is start with the engine. As you can just see there, just very briefly, I mean, it's a brilliant unit, these, and this is a fantastic example of one of those. It's very sweet revving. Makes a lovely noise when it's revving up. It's got just a real sort of zing about it. This one starts on the button, no strange noises. It's absolutely whisper quiet. Idles absolutely evenly, no fluctuations. Pulls really nicely, and kind of sings along when it does it. When I get to the top of this road and come down the far end, I will open up a little bit just to give you kind of a little bit more, so you can hear the engine a bit more. But the engine itself, utterly faultless. There's no warning lights on the car, so there's nothing to concern yourself with at all. The car then drives through clutch and gearbox. Clutch is light as a feather, bites midway up the clutch pedal, which is exactly, or the travel rather, which is exactly where you want it to be. It's the clutch itself is light with no creaks or clicks from there at all. The gearbox itself is typically Honda. It's a lovely slick shifting gearbox. I mean, it's just every gear just finds its way home. I'm just doing this for effect really, but it just has that lovely oiled feel to it. It's just beautiful synchro mesh on them. It doesn't feel detached, whereas some do, and this one's just got no wear in it at all. It just feels absolutely as new. It's got wonderful gear change. So in essence, the major mechanicals of the car, engine, gearbox and clutch, absolutely faultless. I cannot find a fault with them. Driving the car now, the car tracks bullet straight, not even a hint of a wheel wobble through the steering wheel. There's nothing there at all. It's just got that lovely positive steering rack that you get in these Civics, very quick acting. Makes them an absolute joy to drive. The chassis itself, suspension goes about its business utterly silently. Obviously you'll hear it when you go over a bump, but there's no strange resonances, no strange sort of clunks or bangs from underneath suggesting there's some wear in the system. The whole car has a real feel of it's being tight as a drum. It really does. It just feels absolutely brilliant. Brakes, rock solid. As soon as I touch the brake pedal, nose dips down, nice and straight, nice and even, doesn't pull left, doesn't pull right. No suggestion of anything like any kind of walk discs or worn pads underneath, beyond what's reasonable. But just touch the brakes there and it really does dive in. While I'm driving at speed, I'm listening out for kind of extra sort of wind noises, which may suggest there might be a sort of a seal perished on the windscreen or windows. But there's nothing at all. It's a very quiet, refined drive. So what I'll try and do, if the traffic allows, around the far side of this sort of horseshoe or semi-roundabout, is I'll just sort of push it a little bit further, or a bit harder than I would do normally, just to show just how sort of tight and flat these things corner, but also just try to extend the engine a little bit so you can actually hear that revving out. So I'm just going to give it a little bit extra, just to. It's so tight on the steering. It really is. Engine just sings. You tuck it into a corner, it holds its line absolutely perfectly. engine just sings its little heart out. It's a really, really, really great car. Just going to extend it a little bit in third gear for you. Just up the legal limit there, just to show you. It's a very sweet revving. Just going around the dashboard now. As I said, there's no warning lights on the car. I genuinely think this is, the best style dashboard in its class, by a country mile as well, not just by a little bit. It's completely unique. Couldn't be anything other than a Civic. Obviously this is an EX spec, so you've got this lovely big crystal clear high up sat nav system. Very, very simple to use. Down here again, nice and simple, radio CD player. Again, that all works absolutely perfectly. Real high quality affair. Every button you press feels beautifully engineered, and there's not a hint of wear on any of this. Down here then you've got this big rotary knob, which you've got your main controls for your climate control, audio, and the sat nav system itself. Really simple to use. Those sort of silly sub menus that go into, or not many at least, but it all works absolutely spot on. You can manually do the air conditioning, which I tend to use on this side here. It's a lovely spring day today. Got the air conditioning on, and it's blowing out some lovely cold air onto me as well, so that's all fully functional. Then you come across multifunction steering wheel, obviously auto lights, auto wipers. Again, it just feels like a brand new steering wheel. It just has that lovely sort of, well, as I said, hopefully you'll see it when you come to see it, the car, but it really does feel tight, lovely and sort of fresh. Then you've got this brilliant two-tier dashboard in front of me. As I'm looking ahead to the car in front, I can still see the MPH readout to my kind of peripheral vision. It makes it so much safer driving along. You don't have to dip your head down to take in any information regarding speed, and it's a brilliantly designed system. To the left of the speeder there, you've got a little rev warning light. Just says you're approaching the red line, and obviously the fuel cuts off, just to warn you of that. And then to the right you've got the econometer, which just gives you an idea that you're driving very economically, and more green lights, more economical you're driving. Down below that we've got our normal conventional dials end, but a nice big bold single rev counter. Very easy to assimilate that information. In the middle of that you've got your information display. To the left, temperature gauge, which on all Hondas should run about a third of the way up the gauge, and that's exactly where this one is here. And then fuel gauge to the right of that. But in essence, cannot fault the car. The car drives without a hint of wear in it. It really does. I mean, cosmetically it's in very, very, very nice condition. It's a big spec car, but this is just to give you reassurance if you're going to come any distance at all, whether it be 10 minutes up the road or driving 3 days across Europe, you can be absolutely assured there's nothing on this car in terms of the drive of the vehicle that you should be concerned yourself with in any way, shape or form. You should be utterly delighted. Obviously if I've missed out anything on this road test, I apologise, but please do either phone or email us, and we'll get back to you immediately and answer any questions you may have.